Hey guys, it's Nadine. Welcome to my Flashback Friday, where I'll walk you through how I set up my October in my bullet journal and share some interesting tidbits with you all. I hope you enjoy it.
Right, so for October, because that's the month I'm going to be doing, it is Halloween, and I think I have an idea for this page that I might decorate, and this is probably the only page that I'll get decorated, and it's simply because I have some time to kill today. So I will show you guys how I set this up, and I'm going to use both sides of the pages. As you can see, so that I don't mess up, I put a sticky note that has what's going to go on this page right here. So now I need to go back and design my title page, and I have these 3 stamp sets. This one is from Hampton Arts. Actually, they're all from Hampton Arts. Yeah, this is all from Hampton Arts, Graphic 45. And this I got a few seasons ago, so I'm not sure if they have them, but if you check your guys' Michaels or Jan's or whatever, they have some really cute seasonal stamp sets. I always keep my seasonal stuff separately for just this occasion.
I am going to be completely honest. You all know I am not one to decorate a whole hell of a lot in my planners, but recently when I've done it a time before this, I actually found it to be pretty therapeutic. So I was kind of excited to figure out a layout for my October, and as usual I always start off with where I want to put the actual month name, and that's what I'm doing in the middle of the page here. And then I go ahead and I lay out all of my stamps and I figure out what I want to have and where I want to have it, so that it kind of looks like a little bit of a scene. So for October, because it's Halloween, I wanted some pumpkins. I also wanted to use a little cat, and I wanted a full moon. And that's exactly what I went ahead and used. There was also some cute spider webs, and then of course the witch's broom, because how can you not use a witch's broom? So as I was looking at my scenery, I felt like it was missing a little something on the ground next to the pumpkins. So I had these vine stamps that I wanted to use, but I didn't want to stamp over the pumpkins. So what I'm doing is I'm using a masking technique, which is stamping the actual image onto a piece of post-it note and then covering up the stamped image that I already put down on my paper. Then you can stamp over that, remove the masking post-it note, and you will find that the stamp that you just put down looks like it goes behind it instead of on top of the image. Being a previous scrapbooker and card maker, I have so many supplies on hand. So you'll see that I use different markers throughout my bullet journal decorating. And right here I'm using the Tim Holtz Distress markers. I also use the Tombow dual brush pens, and sometimes I even use my old Stampin' Up markers as well. But I will be sure to go ahead and link all of the supplies that I'm using in this video in the description box below.
My next page is always followed up by the month on 2 pages. Again, I have some sticky notes to remind me. Now what I do is that once I use the sticky notes, or once I actually am getting to do the page, I just take the sticky note and I put it back here so that I know for the next month when I lay it out, I'm gonna go ahead and reuse those. So let me share with you guys a little something that I made for myself. As you can see, I have very lightly already marked my columns and rows for the month on 2 pages, but I did that instead of counting, which is cumbersome sometimes. What I do is I have a template here that I made for myself, and this is just made out of basic acetate. I was gonna make a template for you guys, but I just don't know how I would set this up so that it would be easy. Okay, so let me show you guys how I did my little template, and it is super easy and super useful to have it, so that way you're not counting again every single time you have to reset up your months, because again, like I mentioned, that was one of my pet peeves, having to do this often. So I know for a fact that my month on 2 page spread never changes. It's always a 6 by 6 box, meaning it's 6 squares across and 6 squares down. And so because I know that, I can reuse this every single month, this template. So what I did was I took an 8.5 by 11 transparency, laid it across the page horizontally, made sure everything lines up as far as edges go. Then I took a Sharpie and I went and I just dotted every single column and every single row, as you can see. So then I went back and I took a little Pokey tool like this. This is from Holtz, and this is from Tonic Studios. And I poke through wherever I had marked my Sharpie. Then later on, when I'm getting ready to do another layout, like today, I'm just gonna go ahead, get to the page that I need to be, lay it down exactly the same way, making sure that the edges of the transparency lines up with the edges of my bullet journal. Took a thin needlepoint pen, and this one happens to be a Copic multi-liner, and then all I do is I go in and I stick my little pen tip through the little holes, and it automatically marks where my boxes will begin and end, and then when my rows will begin and end. So here's the thing to keep in mind. The way you know which way to lay your transparency down is you feel the back, and the back has a little bit of a catch in the back from your Pokey tool. So it's kind of like braille-ish feeling, and that's how you know that that's the side that needs to be face down on the page. All right, so after I went ahead and put all my dots down on my page using this template, once I remove it, you can see that I have all the dots here already. And they're very, very faint, which is exactly how I like it. But let me zoom in so you guys can see better. So you see that? I have all the dots here. Now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take my ruler and connect all the dots, and then you will have your columns and your rows.
So now it makes making your columns and your rows so simple. All you do is connect the dots, and because I do 2 month-on-2 pages, 2 of these spreads, one for my personal and business things and then one for my social media stuff, it makes it that much easier for me to go ahead and lay this out every single month.
Now, because I know that this is going to be October, and I know my theme for October is going to be black and orange, I'm going to go ahead and instead of writing out the month here, I'm going to use this stamp that I got from Me and My Big Ideas. It's their Create 365, the Happy Planner, part of that whole line. I think I got this from Michael's. Anyway, it has a great October stamp right here, so I'm going to double stamp that, and I'll show you what I mean by that.
Alright, so when I go ahead and double stamp, or shadow stamp as some people like to call it, all I'm using is 2 different colors. One is darker than the other, and because my colors for October is black and orange, those are the colors that I'm using. This is kind of like a mustardy orange. I'm taking my lighter color and stamping it first, and then I'll take the darker color and then go ahead and stamp over that. Not exactly on top of it, but kind of offset so that it looks like there's a shadow underneath the darker color. Oh, really quickly, let me share with you guys something that I love. There is a little thing that I use to clean my stamps, and it's called the Stamp Shammy. You can get it at a number of different places. I will be sure to link it below, but that is a godsend to clean your stamps. Now, when I'm putting in the dates, I'm going to go ahead and write them in, but I just like to have a little bit of a background, so I just use my zebra mild liners to make a little dot of orange, and then I'm using my Copic multi-liner to write in the dates. If you've watched my bullet journal favorites video, you know that I've mentioned that I love stencils. So right here, I'm going to go ahead and use one of my favorites, which is the Mommy Lhey Little Bits Kit stencil, one that looks like a little torn washi tape. I will go ahead and link for that video in a card, so go ahead and click the little eye at the top right, and that'll take you directly to that video if you haven't already seen it. I am a fanatic about making sure that I'm on top of my bills and things. So as you can see, the bill tracker and when my bills are due is the most important to me every single month. So I'm using those stickers that I mentioned before in my favorites video and just laying out all of the due dates for bills. Me personally, I feel so much more at peace when I know where all my finances are going and I'm on top of it. And I wanted to share with you guys also a way that I lay out my things. So you see the little boxes I'm putting on the right side under bills. I put the number of boxes that corresponds to the number of bills that's going to be due that week, so that I know exactly what weeks things fall under. As you can see, the first 3 weeks of every single month is usually the most hectic when it comes to bill paying for me, because that's when most of the things are due for my business and personal life. Now, another thing I like doing is adding washi tape, and not so much for decoration, but more so to mark when something will span a number of days. So what I did was I just took a regular size washi, I cut it down, and then I'm going to go ahead and use a Sharpie to write over it what exactly is happening. Just so happens we were in Vegas, and that's what I'm writing down in my planner. So as I'm looking at my month on 2 pages, I'm like, oh, this thing is a little bit boring. So let's add some stamps, since I already have it out, to my page so that we can kind of spiffy it up. So again, I have to lay out a second month on 2 page for my social media things, and this is where the template that I showed you guys is a godsend. It makes it so easy. Within a matter of minutes, I have my month on 2 pages set up. It's not a headache. I don't have to count. It's pretty brilliant, if I do say so myself. I've never been one to keep track of numbers and stats very often in the past, but recently I found that it's actually a kind of a good thing to keep track of, so that way you know the content that you're putting out, if your numbers are growing, that people are actually liking what you're putting out. So it's become something of an importance as of the last couple of months. After my month on 2 page calendars, the next thing that is important to me is my workflow. Basically, this is the area that I have a checklist of things that I need to do in order to make sure that when I put up YouTube content, that everything is done and checked off, so that I don't forget anything and everything goes up almost effortlessly and pretty smoothly. Sometimes I get lazy and prefer not to have to write out all of the numbers. So here, I'm using the vertical number sheet by Ink by Jeng, which I will link for below. And all I did, it's an instant download that I bought from her Etsy shop. I just printed it out on transparent sticker sheet, and I'm cutting it down and using it for all of the days in October. Whenever I put up videos, what I do never really changes. So my workflow never really changes, and I know for a fact that there are 8 things that needs to be done and checked off in order to make sure that my videos go up smoothly and without a hitch, and that everything with social media content regarding that video is done. So I make sure to put the same things over and over again every single month. However, one of the things, or one of the pet peeves that I have, is the actual decoration of when I write workflow. It is not the greatest. So next month I think I'm gonna have to find something else that's a little more pleasing to the eye. The adjacent page to my workflow page is where I write down my ideas. It's basically just a brain dump page, so if I get an idea on the fly for what I want to video, I'll go ahead and put it here. Next, after my workflow page, is my favorite area of my collections, which is my moon and mood tracker. I shared my freebie with you guys that I designed last video, but I will put it again below.
Alright, so I have my paper, my sticker paper laid down for my moon and mood tracker. And when I go ahead and put the moons in here, I sometimes do it a couple of different ways. So for instance, sometimes I use this Sweet Stamp Shop. Anyhow, this one has all of their like lunar stuff or their celestial things. or I use this from the Hobonichi company. This size circle and this size stamp is about the same thing, but you can use whatever circle you have. And so what I will do is I'll just go around and either color it in or draw it in or stamp it in, and then I'll show you guys what else I do to make it easier on me. One of the things that I enjoy doing, as well as keeping track of my moods, is also planning out my month according to the lunar cycles. So on the left there, you see that I have an area that reminds me what different things are done during different moon cycles. And I will share where I got this information in the description box below for you. Also, if you guys wanted to learn how to plan by the moon or by the lunar phases, you can check that out yourselves. And because I suffer from CRS, I like to remind myself the colors that I use for the different moods that I feel throughout the month. And so I make sure to put that on the right side of my moon and mood tracker. Now here I have a calendar for the moon phases. It's not every single day. However, which is what I like. I prefer to know the moon phase every single day. Now in between phases, the moon changes very slightly. Not that the average eye would be able to tell, but I still like to have it every single day tracked. So anyhow, this is what I use to mark the full moons and the new moons. And I will also link where I get my other calendar that I am able to track every single day, so log every single moon phase. Ideally, all I'm really concerned about is the full moon, the new moon, the first quarter, and the last quarter. But because I can be a little OCD about things, I go ahead and make sure I fill in every single moon phase that's happening on every single day for S and Gs. Now on the left side, you see me reminding myself of what happens during different cycles of the moon. For instance, the new moon is when we plant a seed, and so on and so forth. And this is another video that I will be making in the near future to explain to you guys exactly how I plan different things in my life according to the lunar phases. The next collection after my moon and mood tracker is my track it area, and I've shown you guys before I have failed miserably because it was not visually pleasing to me. So that's why I developed and designed my own little track it system, which I've shared with you guys in my last video, but I will also be sure to do so in the description box below. So this month I planned on tracking 4 different things. Hopefully this month, because it looks a little cuter to me, I will be more successful at tracking my habits. Next, after my track it area is in fact my goals for the month. So again, I'm using a couple of stamps to decorate this area and make it a little bit more appealing. I also decided to go back through and decorate other little areas that I felt like was lacking. So I added some stars and a little bit of bats and different things throughout on pages that I felt like were a little bit boring. Alright, so as I mentioned before, I go from big goals to smaller goals or more manageable bite-sized pieces. So once I set up my goals for the month, what I do is I end up breaking it down. So then we go to my goals for the week and also my menu plan. For me personally, knowing what I'm cooking throughout the week alleviates so much stress. And I know that sounds so weird, but as a mommy, I find myself really stressed out when I don't know what we're gonna have for dinner. Now we get into the nitty-gritty everyday day per page layouts. And I've told you guys before, I do not really love my handwriting. So a lot of the times what I'll do is I'll get a stamp and I'll make sure to stamp out the days of the week, as you see I'm doing here. And this is great for a couple of reasons. Number one, I don't have to see my ugly handwriting. And number two, it keeps everything pretty uniform, which I really, really like. So a normal week layout for me starts off by my menu planning and then my goals for the week, followed by Monday through Sunday, a day per page, except for Saturday and Sundays, they share a page. I repeat this layout throughout the entire month, and this is the way I'm going to keep it for the rest of the year. Now, one of the things I also do on my day per page is I like to have 7 o'clock to 11 o'clock at night
going vertically on a page. And what that does is, that is the area on the left side of my page that is for appointments. So timed appointments go on the left side. So as I was stamping out the numbers and the dates for my October, I really messed up. I ended up having to go back and purchase a printable from the Etsy store, which I will link below. That is the thing about bullet journaling. I've had to learn how to let go of some mistakes and not get so riled up about it, which has been a very interesting learning experience. Thank God for Etsy shops that have instant download printable stickers, which I just cut out with a Stampin' Up circle punch.
Right, so let's take a look at my day per page. It's really very simple, nothing extravagant, exactly what I need. My top things to do over here, my time tracker, my appointments, and then my to-do area, Saturdays and Sundays, share a page. And this is how I'm going to go ahead and lay out my spread for the rest of the year. So that, my friends, in a nutshell, is how I went ahead and did my plan with me for October. And this is how I'm going to go ahead and set up my bullet journal planner for the rest of the year, which I am loving the way I have it set up. And that's a godsend because now I have planner peace again. So thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. And if you did, let me know by giving it a thumbs up so that I know you like the content that I'm putting out. Also, if you're not already a subscriber, make sure you go ahead and click the notification buttons and subscribe to my channel so that you can know when I put up a new video. I hope you guys have a great day, and I will be back to talk with you guys later. TTFN, ta-ta for now.